Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Ortali. I am the founder of the Ladies Community and Heart and Mind Talks. And today I am bringing to you another interview for our online summit, The One. And the theme of the summit is one with purpose, one with self, and one with others. So I'm thrilled to bring to you a special guest today who I actually met in a meditation class in Los Angeles. Her name is LeGrande. She is a former professional dancer, and now she is a breath and movement expert. And so what we're going to dive into today is her purpose, how she became a professional dancer and then going now into the movement and breath space, what that exactly means, and how you can use breath and movement to connect with yourself and others. So welcome, Liz. I'm super pumped that you are coming in all the way from the West Coast to chat with us today and give us more information.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. And hi, everyone who's tuned.
It's so fun. So, I mean, you're so many girls listening to this and or who look up to you. I know you also work with a lot of children. They think like, oh my God, I want to be a professional dancer. That is my dream. So tell me a little bit more about what that was like to be a professional dancer and then how you kind of evolved throughout that process.
Absolutely. Being a professional dancer incorporated an entire spectrum of emotions and feelings and things that unraveled in my life. So I can start by saying the first time I booked my major tour, which was with Usher, it was a dream come true. I started dancing when I was 4, and by 6, I knew I was going to be a dancer. And it felt like I had waited for that moment my entire life. When I got into rehearsals, I didn't realize exactly how difficult things would be. And what I mean by that is, you have this passion, something that you hold so closely to you, something very sacred. And then you're put in a setting where it has now become a business. So I had a difficult time merging the two. What I learned in those days was that I absolutely was supposed to be there, but my purpose was beyond the moment. So, performing is great, but where I found peace was when I was in my hotel room by myself at night and I had headphones in and I allowed myself to just breathe, connect with the music, and allow my heart to essentially move my feet. I have a favorite quote and it says, "My heart moved my feet, then I danced." And I discovered that was more important to me than the whole performance aspect of the dance world.
How did you feel on stage? Did you feel like it was out of body, or how would you compare that feeling to what you're describing now of being in your hotel room?
I had times when I first started performing professionally where I did not feel out of body. I felt very much in my body and connected to some thought patterns that I hadn't worked through. So for example, my first live performance was America's Best Dance Crew. And what I knew was that we were going to go onto stage and they were going to film us live. And that means that if I mess up, the whole world sees it. So, I had so many thoughts running in my mind. What if I mess up? What if I forget the choreography? What if, right? And so I felt very much connected to my body. And what I did, that's when I started meditating. I had a therapist backstage with me, sit me down and tell me to breathe. So I started breathing and they guided me through this meditation. And for the first time in my life, I was able to what felt like have an out of body experience, have this experience with a version of reality that had yet to happen. And that moment changed my life. and it evolved my performances. So I eventually got to a place where I would be on stage and I was having a complete out of body experience. I was not in my head. Obviously my spirit was in my body because it was moving and doing the routine, but I would get off stage and have no recollection of what happened.
Wow. And was that something that you enjoyed at the time, or you felt disconnected from your body?
I enjoyed it because I love to travel and I did a lot of touring the world. But I was dealing with healing, and essentially it was kind of a distraction from my healing. So, you know, movement can be used as a form of healing, and so can breath. But when I was so focused on performing for others, that took me out of going within, turning within, and looking at myself. You see what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%. And I think what you're describing, so many people also experience, but maybe in different ways. So the distraction that you found in dance, other people find in work, alcohol, relationships, drugs, whatever it is,
Yes.
taking them away from their healing, but it's stimulating and fun. How did you make the connection though that dance was that distraction pulling you away from healing, and that you did need to go within and start healing yourself?
I got to a place in my career where I danced for a ton of A-list artists. I was on multiple television shows, movies. I manifested, I created this career for myself that I couldn't even dream about fully when I was a little girl. And I woke up one morning and I couldn't stop crying. And I would be on jobs and it felt like every single job I was doing, something would happen that was forcing me to say no to the job, whether it was being sexually harassed, or it was being not getting paid and having to file a lawsuit. Or, you know, I could go on and on about the things that unraveled in my career towards, you know, the end of my dance days. And it forced me to take a look at the choices I was making. And it forced me to make different choices. So when I woke up and I couldn't stop crying, I had to ask myself, what's going on? I have money in my bank account. I just traveled on a private jet with an A-list artist and performed on multiple award shows and did what seemed to be the impossible. And yet I'm still sitting here and I'm unhappy. Why?
And then what? What do you do when you feel that?
Well, I was thankful and smart and I saved money. So I took some time off. I took a few months off to start meditating because I remembered that meditation was what was helping me in those moments of stress. So that's, you know, when we met at the Den, I was in that phase of just allowing myself to be. I had been seeing therapists. I decided to go to a life coach,
Mm-hmm.
which was an entirely different ball game for me in my journey. And it was amazing. The healing, okay, hold on, rewind. The healing started happening when I started to take a look at what was going on inside of me. And it was through my life coach that happened. It was a really difficult time. It was a really difficult time.
I actually found the same experience. For me, going to therapy didn't bring the same connection with self as a coach did.
Really?
Yeah, for me, coaching helped me to look at my internal dialogue differently, the questions I was asked, and the processes and tools I learned were so much more valuable to me and my learning style than therapy was for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I found that with coaching, I was essentially I don't like the word forced, but I was forced to look at my own shit. Beep. We can beat that out if you want. But,
We'll keep it.
okay. Yes. um, I was forced to take accountability for my actions. And what was so amazing about that is it showed me that every single thing in my life I created. And that gave me authentic power. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe to me now the evolution then of where you feel now and
Mm-hmm.
how you feel now connecting more to your body and your purpose.
Well, I wake up every day with a smile on my face. And even when life throws me a curveball, I feel at peace with that curveball versus feeling like life was happening to me and not knowing how to respond. When I went to Bali, I dived into a breathwork training that changed my life. And what I learned in that training was that my body, my cells, my organs had literally stored trauma. It's fascinating, right? Like the fact that our cells can store trauma. And, you know, we can talk, we can communicate, we can write, we can practice affirmations and mantras, and we can do all the things to help us heal. But sometimes we need another practice, whether it be yoga or it be meditation or it be breath work. And breath work for me was the most powerful way to release that trauma. So while I was unraveling in Bali and releasing that trauma physically, I was also becoming more grounded in my mission. And so before I went there to heal, I had a really difficult time committing to this new life that I was creating. When I came back from Bali, it was go time. And I think that's really amazing. I have some friends that know that they're ready to step into a new lane right now. They know that they're ready to use their voice to serve, and yet they're having a difficult time fully committing to that mission. And my words of advice, I would just say, just heal, work on you first, because when we can release that trauma and when we can become balanced and grounded, that's when we soar. That's when we become the phoenix.
If you had the time and or been at a different place before you went into dancing, do you feel like you would have had a different experience dancing, or you wouldn't have even gone into that profession?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so if you, prior to becoming a dancer, if
Mm-hmm.
you had I don't even want to call it an awakening, or just an understanding and the state of peace that you feel now, if you would have had that before becoming a dancer, do you think you still would have become a dancer, and or you would have had a different experience while performing?
I don't think I would have been fulfilled had I had an awakening before I went to my dance career. When I was dancing, it was very much about fulfilling this dream that I had. And yes, I wanted the audience to have a good time, to have fun. I wanted to inspire, but it was more so about me. And after I had sounds ridiculous, my awakening. I'm going to say that after I dived into my healing, my focus very much shifted from within to outwards, to how can I help others. So I don't think that I would have chosen a professional dance career. I think I would have gone straight to breath work, to body movement, to helping people heal through their bodies.
Neat.
That's
Very
really
cool.
joy.
Yeah, I love that. Can you then talk a little bit more about this breath work and healing through the body? What are you doing now, and how can people start practicing some of those tools?
Yes. So our breath is our life force. I don't know if you've ever had a moment where you were crying and you took a moment to, you know, look at yourself. But when I cry, my breath gets really short and staccato. I'm like, in fact, I just performed in a show this past weekend where I had to act, and the scene that I was doing, I had to cry. And I had a difficult time connecting to the message of the piece. So what I did was I shifted my breath to become staccato. And through my breath, I was able to invoke this state of discomfort, dis-ease. And I eventually started crying, of course. Or moments when you're in a high pressure situation and you need to calm down, and you lengthen your breath. You breathe from your diaphragm, and you're imagining your breath filling your entire body, and all of a sudden you're able to navigate in this difficult time grounded and peaceful and organized. Our breath changes our life if we allow it to. Where do I want to start? I would say that if you're looking to get more into your breath and your body, to start by awakening your body in the morning with 5 deep breaths, nice and slow. And you know, a lot of people talk about that, but most of us don't do it. Most of us don't wake up and say, you know what, before I even go to the restroom, it's important that I start my day off doing the very thing that's keeping me alive, the very thing that even allows me to use the restroom.
Yeah.
And through connecting with our breath, we bring more awareness to our body. We bring more life force into our body. And it's just a bit easier to navigate life and the stresses that life brings.
And I think it's also bringing intentionality into what we do naturally. And it allows us to just have a sense of gratitude that we didn't necessarily have before.
Woo! Preach, girl. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we talk more about the body? Because I know as women, it's such a big topic of us feeling and owning our body, and then feeling sexy and confident, and or hiding ourselves. How can we, through movement and awareness, connect to the confidence that we are and the beautiful bodies that we live in?
Well, what I did to become more in tune with my body, and also to love my body more. So just so you know, and everybody knows, 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder and put into a rehab facility. So I've literally been through it in regards to owning my body and connecting to it and learning how to love it.
Yeah.
What I do now, I'm just so grateful for the art of movement and the art of, I guess, self-regulation. I close my eyes and I imagine what I want to feel like. So let's say I'm having a day where I just feel completely uncomfortable in my own skin. I close my eyes and I imagine feeling like the greatest I've ever felt. Or even I could bring in something like my dog. You know, how do I feel when my dog is kissing me and making me feel like the most loved human being ever? We all have something that can bring us to this place, right? So I close my eyes, I imagine it, I play music, and I allow that feeling to move my body naturally. And as I do that, I start to embody these emotions. And I eventually open my eyes and I'm ready for the day. It's quite simple. And it teaches us that we don't have to go outside of ourselves to shift something within, you know? A lot of people feel uncomfortable in their skin and their body. They have a meeting, they're like, let me go buy this new outfit because it's gonna make me feel great. Let me go get my makeup done or my hair done, or let me go on a quick little fast or diet. And while I do believe nutrition is absolutely important because we are only given one body, the truth is we shouldn't have to go outside of ourselves to change anything within, such as feelings. So I connect to a feeling and I'll pull from a past memory or something in the future. Or if I'm feeling, well, obviously with the question you gave me, I'm not feeling great, I'm trying to shift. I'll pull from something and I'll bring that into the now.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to accept your body and the way that you look physically?
Wow. You know, there's still a few things that I struggle with. I'm not going to say I struggle. I'll say that a few things that I'm currently working on.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say I love myself and I love my body. And I'd say this only happened within the last year.
Wow.
It's taken a really long time of consistent affirmations and mantras and meditation and listening to Abraham Hicks and
My
reading,
favorite. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And integrating. But I also grew up standing at a ballet bar being told that my pinky finger was off. Like literally, I would be yelled at for a pinky finger being off. And what I've learned as of recently is when we're born, the first 8 years of life are the utmost importance for our development. And anything that happens within those years can seriously affect our lives into adulthood. I believe that being in a strict environment such as ballet under 8 years old was part of the reason why I ended up in a rehab facility. And why it's taken me so long to learn to love my body.
Wow. I think it's important for you to say that and obviously share your experience so candidly, because for other people to hear, and there's moms out there, and it's important for people just to consider, what may this be teaching my child and what impact may that have long term?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's something as simple as a dance class for a child, or it is a mom making a comment about her own body in front of her child who's 6 years old.
Yeah.
It's all the same. Anything that happens to us during those years will shift the trajectory of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. How does your past experience with your eating disorder, when you say you're still working on it, how does it show up now? And how are you triggered now in your life?
Well, I'm not triggered with my eating disorder anymore.
Yeah.
There are certain things on my body that sometimes I look at and I'm embarrassed by, or I could see a picture of myself and I'm just like, I can't look at this, you know? And what I do in those moments is, again, breath is so powerful and our imagination is everything. So I sit and I breathe and I imagine feeling joy and feeling peace. And again, I pull from something from either the past or the future that I'm creating, and I can feel it in the now. And, you know, new hormones are created in my body in that exact moment. I'm no longer releasing those chemicals that are hurting me, like literally physically hurting my body. And I shift myself out of that state. It's awareness. Awareness is key. Just recognizing what I'm doing in those moments and choosing to do something different.
And just understanding, I love the awareness piece. After the awareness, I think it comes to this understanding and acknowledgement that you can shift your state. You don't have to be there. And so I love the tools that you're talking about, because it gives you the power to control. I don't even like the word control, because it's not a control thing, but to choose how you want to show up in that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love Brene Brown, and she used to always say, joy is our birthright. And I could hear this, and be like, okay, joy is my birthright. But I never fully understood what that meant until I started cultivating joy on my own. Instead of looking for joy outside of me, whether it's in a movie or a TV show or a dog or whatever, just looking outside of me for something to make me happy. When I realized that I could cultivate it on my own, I fully understood what she meant. It is our birthright, and we do get to choose this right here, right now, if we decide.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is the choice is ours at any time, regardless of what is happening in our external environment.
Yeah, 100%.
It's amazing. They don't teach us in school, and
No,
they should.
I know. Yeah, it's really cool because you can also do that with any word. You can choose joy, love, peace, calmness, and think about that word and then just feel it and change it within your body. And it almost becomes a library where you have all of the emotions that you could possibly feel, and you just pick out the book from the library and you're like, I'm going to feel this right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when we take, I don't like the word power either. There's another word there. I'm not going to say that's when we take our power back, but that's when we take our, what word am I looking for, Vanessa?
I don't know if it's ownership or, I don't know, because I do get, the words power and control, they can be used, they have these polar opposites, right? It's very powerful to take control of your emotions, but then I think we can add, control also has this energy to it that you're trying to manipulate, and it's this external thing instead of internal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell how intentional we are about the words that we choose and the energy that the words hold, because it's important.
It is. I mean, words create. Our word is our wand, essentially.
Yeah. I actually read in Huffington Post a while ago that when we're having a chemical response to our external environment, the hormonal reaction within our body will last about 90 seconds. After the 90 seconds, that's all you. Like, that's your choice. So you get to choose what happens after that 90 seconds. So knowing that, for me, I just breathe through the first 90 seconds and I'm like, just breathing through. Like, I get why you're having this reaction based on your past experience and whatever other things that still need to be healed within you. And that's cool. But then after the 90 seconds, we're going to choose something different.
Exactly. Give yourself 90 seconds.
Yeah. To breathe through. I know. Yeah. What else do you wish that you knew when you were younger?
Let's see. I wish I knew that I had the power to cultivate emotions on my own. I wish I knew that my external environment didn't have to affect me as much as it did. So, I mean, that in itself is so powerful, to take ownership, like you said, to take ownership of our being. I felt like I had to try and make these friends. So I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, in a time when people were still driving with Confederate flags on their truck, yelling white power out the window. And then on the opposite side of that was, African Americans who at the time, they didn't accept me either because I'm half white. So I was so affected by feeling alone, but the truth is I could have chosen my own emotional state during that time had I been taught to. But again, this is kind of a newer development,
Yeah.
We are so blessed in this day of technology. The fact that we can just get online and listen to a podcast, we can just get on our smartphone. Because by the way, back in the day, I remember beepers or pagers.
Yeah, pagers. Yeah. It is true. Now there's so many resources for us to raise our consciousness and awareness and understanding of ourselves. What does healing mean to you? When we say heal, like, I think I want to bring more clarity to that
Yeah.
because we don't always know that we need to heal or what healing is. So, what did it mean to you?
Healing meant to me that I took a time out from my focusing on external environment. So from my career, I took a time out from friendships. I took a time out from shopping, all the things that I was using to avoid going within. I say this because a lot of us have a difficult time just sitting and being. If you have a difficult time just sitting still for 10 minutes, then there's something for you to look at. There's some sort of healing that you can do within you. And so healing to me looks like sitting, being, allowing myself to feel whatever comes through me, whether it's impatience or it's agitation or it's anger, whatever it is. It's allowing myself to feel that, look at it, because there's something really powerful happens when we acknowledge whatever it is that's going on inside of us. And once I acknowledge that, I'm able to integrate it and it becomes whole.
Mm,
Does
I
that
love
make sense?
that. Yeah, totally. I love that you started with the stillness piece because I wouldn't have started with that. And it totally makes so much sense and is beautiful. For me, healing showed up for me. I knew I needed to heal in watching. So for me, it was awareness and watching my reactions because I
Ooh,
was so reactive to life and my external environment, like you just mentioned, the impatience, the insecurity. And then once I noticed my reactions, I was able to dive deeper into understanding and increasing my awareness and then changing my patterns and conditioning. And that was healing for me.
that is
Yeah.
so powerful. I remember when I first started seeing my life coach, I was in a relationship at the time. And I thought that I was, quote unquote, doing the work. And, you know, he would do or say something that provoked me. And I would snap back at him. Well, you're not doing the work. Da, 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 da. And you're so right about the responses, because my response to him, or shall I say reaction to him, showed me that I needed to go in and break that pattern, which was a form of healing. Breaking any
Yeah.
pattern is healing of an aspect of ourselves.
Yeah. And for me, why the coach was so important for my development and growth is because I wasn't necessarily able to see those patterns on my own. I
Mm,
needed someone to tell me, I think you're stuck in a pattern here. I think you need to look a little deeper because it was just my normal. I just knew
yes,
what I knew. And so I found for me, I needed someone to point out those blind spots that I wasn't necessarily seeing.
150 billion%.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
to bring someone in who's just objective, you know, like
Yeah.
I think sometimes family members or close friends can be like, oh, you're so right, girl. He was in the wrong, or, you know, whatever the situation is. But
Mhm.
when you pay someone, they truly have your best interest in mind. And they also specialize in whatever it is that you're going through. So
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
important.
As you now are transitioning into this other being and life that you're now living as a breath and movement expert, it's the same but different and exciting. What are you currently working through and evolving into?
Good question. Well, currently, what I'm working through is releasing what no longer serves. So there's this saying, and the saying is, from nothing comes everything. And to me, what that means is sometimes we have to let go of things to begin anew. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm in LA, and I have donated 99% of my things, and I'm selling my car tomorrow. And I thought that it would be a little easier to do because, you know, I've just been this little free bird touring and floating and traveling. Yet there's a part of me that is mourning this loss. And the truth is this, I am saying goodbye. There is a death that is happening in this portion of my life. And so I'm learning to allow myself to feel the emotions move through my body, because as I've learned, emotion is merely energy in motion. And the more I allow it, the more it just moves through me and leaves, versus, you know, staying and getting stuck. And yeah, that's where I am today.
That's cool.
I'm focused on releasing, letting
Yeah.
go. And I'm actually getting ready to go back to Bali for another meditation teacher training. And this one is specifically geared towards movement, which is super exciting.
That's beautiful. I'm so excited for you to continue teaching men and women to connect to their breath and connect to their body, because it is so new and something that is so necessary for us to continue to connect with ourselves and others. And that's why I wanted to have you on this summit, is
Yeah.
because this conversation is so integral for our evolution and growth as human beings.
Yes. Well, I'd like to add one more thing before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Something magical happens when we are on a dance floor with others, because we connect to the music. We connect to the dance floor. We become one with the movement, literally. When the instructor is guiding us and we start to mirror that instructor, we are becoming one with her. And then the entire class is doing it at the same time. I've never felt a sense of oneness as I do in a dance class.
Neat.
It is so powerful to let yourself just unravel and be, and push beyond those edges. I think it's by pushing just a little bit further in those moments when we might feel uncomfortable that growth can happen. And what I've noticed is that how I show up on the dance floor is how I show up in life. And what I mean by that is, so even though I'm a professional dancer, I still get nervous sometimes when I step onto the dance floor. I'm human, you know? I get a bit nervous, but it shows me that that's how I'm showing up in my board meetings too. Versus times when I'm in a dance class and I'm free and I'm liberated and I'm just pushing boundaries, and I don't care if I fall because at least I'm trying. I see myself show up like that outside of the studio also.
Yeah, this is such a great visual to leave people with so they can ask themselves these questions. How are you showing up in life? How are you showing up on the dance floor? Push yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe go sign up for a dance class. Now there are lots of options. You can do burlesque or hip hop or salsa.
Yes.
And really continue to expand your being and connection with yourself through movement and breath. It's really cool and is an ever evolving process, as you've so eloquently demonstrated. Even what you're going through now, it's just taking all of those tools that you've learned and implementing them continuously throughout your life.
Yes.
Yeah. If people want to find out more about what you're doing and stay up to date on all of this movement and breath work, where can they find you?
So check out my website. It is www.lizlegrande.com, or my Instagram. Lots of videos,
Awesome.
fun things. I'm moving to New York soon, so if you're in the area, reach out to me, schedule a session, and we'll have some fun.
So good. Well, I'm excited for my session. We're going to have to figure out and be in the same place at one time and then end up doing some dancing, because I'm a free dancer. I'm a little bit of a goofy dancer, but I could learn some more moves for sure.
Girl, let's do it. We'll get in the
Right?
studio for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story so authentically and sharing your growth and development, as well as you putting in the work to heal so that you can continue to help other men and women get in tune with their body and the movement that we all have and have the right to, just like joy, just like Brene Brown says. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been
Thank
really
you. Thank you. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you go out there and try some of these easy techniques that Liz has taught us and go sign up for dance class. Have some fun.
dance
We'll
it
see
up.
you later. Dance it up. Bye for now.
See you.